Happy Monday, AmeriFirst, and good morning to AmeriTrust on the West Coast, including you, Mr. Garber, and buenos dias, Ameriuno. Welcome to Monday's Momentum Monday. We have a special guest today, Katie Lawrence, one of our consistent top producers and Chairman's Club winner out of Brighton, Michigan, is going to join us and share some of the things that she's got going in her world and how she's adapted into this crazy industry that we have all chosen, or that chose us. So it depends on who you are these days, I guess. But Garb, did you choose this industry, or did this industry choose you? What say you?
So I'm not going to mess with you, but you said Monday's Momentum Monday. So just so you know, we don't have Tuesday's Momentum Monday. So it's always like just Momentum Monday, right? Not Monday's Momentum Monday.
Got it. Hey, thanks for the clarity. Yeah,
okay,
appreciate that. Yeah.
So Katie is incredibly special, and I think what she's going to share with us today will give a lot of business clarity. But one of the things I wanted to start with is, and I'm very grateful that she accepted the invitation. But here's the real reality of what we're all dealing with. I don't know how many of them she kept together, but when I talked to her, I think it was on Friday, she had been in a place where she had 5 deals falling apart, right? And so I think the thing that we all need to really focus on is we don't know what's going to happen from day to day, what deals are coming in, what deals are falling apart, what it takes to keep things together. But I think what I'm really grateful for is somebody in the middle of a real mess still said, I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to come along and do this. And there's a mindset part of this thing that says, we've got to keep moving. We got to keep doing. And that's part of the year that we're in. So I don't know if you got a comment to that before we kind of bring her aboard, but you know what, that's the reality that you and I both play in, and the top performers need to have mindset along with how they run their business. So you want to comment to that one, or just bring her aboard?
Yeah, no, I think everybody's going through that, and some to a larger degree than others. And to your point, it's about mindset and how you get through it. And we're going to talk about a number of things that she's done, always historically done, and what she's doing today to adapt to this crazy market. And let's hope the Feds raise rates sooner rather than later, and let's give ourselves a competitive playing field and even playing field with some of the banks and credit unions, because right now that's generally who we're losing these deals to. So and it's happening everywhere. So even the top producers and everybody. But Katie, come on in, and one of my favorite people, Katie Lawrence from Brighton, Michigan. I miss seeing her. I miss seeing her gorgeous smile every now and then, as I was only about 20 minutes from her office back in the day when I lived in Michigan. Katie, how you doing today?
I'm good. I was so impressed with the introduction. I couldn't wait to hear what I have to say today.
So let's just start out with a little bit of a lot of what I have that I wrote down is about business models, business practices, and you are great at how you run a company. But why don't you give like an elevator ride about how do you stay level, with the ups and downs? And I was so grateful for how you were incredibly able to handle Friday with I'll still talk, and I'm happy to do it, but I got 5 deals falling apart. So talk about mindset during a market like this.
I think that you can't let one day let you down, right? It's to me, it's all about consistency, and deals fall out all the time. And Friday was a bummer. 5 deals walked, and I was able to save one of the 4, which is great. But in this market, right, it's just being consistent. It's doing the stuff over and over and over that always works, and doing a little bit more of it. So when we're in this market, you have to try a little harder. I got to outwork the next guy, but it's staying consistent with all the things that I bring to the table every day to my partners.
So let's stay on that. Go ahead.
Gar, let me back up for a quick second. Sorry. And you've been with us before, but it's been an awfully long time. So why don't you give everybody just a brief background of how long you've been in the business, how long you've been in AmeriFirst, and I know you're not a bragger, but what kind of production you've done in the last couple of years?
So this is actually funny. So when I went to college, I was going to be an elementary school teacher, and then I realized that I actually didn't like other people's kids. So I thought probably being a teacher probably was not necessarily the best job for me. But I think that I was going to do a kindergarten. Can you imagine me teaching kindergarten? But I think that it worked out great because ultimately, what a great transition to this job. So my dad was a real estate attorney, and he said, okay, teaching's not going to work. How about get into the title business? And so I spent a year doing title, and I thought this is some of the most boring stuff I've ever done in my life. And so an opportunity came up at a bank to work in the construction loan department, and I jumped at it. And from there, every day it's been learning. So that was 27 years ago, which I know you're looking at me thinking, how is that possible? She's only 27, but that was 27 years ago I've been doing this. And I love what I do. There's days, like on Friday, for a split second, you let yourself say, okay, well, if the mortgage thing's not going to work out, what the hell else could I do in this world? But ultimately, I love what I do every single day. And so it's just kind of being creative. So I've been doing it a long time. I average probably around 30 to 35 million a year in production, almost all of it purchase, all of it's referral business. I don't buy leads. It's from business partners, and there's a lot that I've learned probably in the last 10 years that I wish that somebody would have shown me early on in my career how much more I could have done. But you're kind of learning your way. Like I see all the time, there's no college program that says how to be an amazing mortgage person. There's nothing out there. When I got into business, we didn't even have computers back then. It was, the 3-ply thermal paper for ordering a credit report. It would come in, and 30 days later, it was like magic. It would disappear. That's how long I've been doing this. And nobody really said like yeah, exactly. I said one of those HPs too, Craig. The magic, right? But nobody really said, hey, here's how to be a great mortgage person. They said, hey, great, poof, you're a loan officer, go make it happen. So, that's kind of what you do. And I think now there's so many great resources that it helps new people, but it's so much. It's really just kind of working on what works for you as you go through. So a long time. I've been doing a long time.
Well, the one thing that was most impressive to me, and it's the thing that kind of makes us similar, is you're very consistent with systems, models, practices, protocol. You don't do a lot of different things a lot of different ways. So talk a little bit about the value of doing business in a standard system, model, protocol.
Yep. So I do everything the same way every time, because then I get the same result every single time. So, big thing for me is branding. I'm really specific about my branding. Everything that goes out, and Peggy's on the call, Peggy will probably laugh. Everything that I send out, it's very, very, everything that goes out to my clients, they know it's from me, right? So, I love flamingos. So there's some fun stuff that I do with flamingos on the side, because everybody says, gosh, every time I see a flamingo, I think of Katie Lawrence, right? But my business branding is a little different. So my business branding is very specific. It's very professional. It goes out the same way. When I work with realtors, I heard this morning somebody was mentioning about A list and B list and C list of realtors. I keep those lists. So I'm going through my list of realtors. I'm investing in their business. Of course, I'll take business from anybody, but I'm investing. We're in a business relationship with those people. So it's a consistency as far as, we do the same things. When I get your client, Ron, if you'd send me a client, I'd say, oh my gosh, you're working with Ron Garber. You are so lucky. Ron is one of the best realtors. He is one of my favorites. I work with him all the time. You are in great hands. And so we're selling back our realtors to the clients. We're asking for documents. We're using systems through our company that are available to make it easier on us, our underwriters, our clients. So it's consistent. I do the same thing all the way through every time.
So stay along that same track about marketing, Peggy, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff in the AmeriFirst toolkit, right? Got a lot of stuff. So, but stuff doesn't matter, right? It's about what do you do with it. So talk a little bit about the continuation of using all of the different possibilities within a system, so it's kind of self-perpetuating from you. You just continue. Go ahead.
So I think that one of my pet peeves in this business is when I hear a realtor say, I gave your name and 3 other cards out to a customer for them to go over there. The truth of the matter is that they're going to call me or whoever the first person on the list. And if they were to call all 3 of us, we're all very similar, right? We're going to blow their heads off with information and they're not going to know what to do with it. And I kind of feel that same way a lot about our marketing stuff. We can send the stuff out, it becomes white noise, right? So it's being specific and strategic about how we use that stuff. So I do like, the stuff that goes out just so that we're being seen and we're going out there. But I think I mentioned to you. So if I have got an appointment with a new listing realtor, I'm going to go into their real estate office. I do a packet that goes to them that I leave behind that is so specific to them. So yes, I want them to tell me, right? I want them to tell me all about their business and so that I can learn about them and grow with them. But I want to drive that conversation. So I'm walking in and I want to make sure that when Katie Lawrence leaves that office, one, I'm remembered. They remember me. They said, oh my gosh, this visit was fun. She brought treats, she brought stuff. But more than that, I'm driving the conversation about the things that I want them to know about AmeriFirst and what we do differently and why I'm different than every other Joe that's going to walk in that office. And so, I'll go through and I talk about, things that maybe we don't always realize are a big deal, right? So before I came to AmeriFirst, I spent 7 years working for a very large bank. And when you get to an AmeriFirst, you really start to recognize like the benefit of this company. The fact that we live wire our funds to closing without a funding number is gigantic. The fact that we don't use appraisal management companies is unbelievable, right? So we're going through, we've got these things that we take for granted, I think, every day because this is just how we do business. But these are big deals to our realtors and to the customers. Being a direct lender and explaining the difference to my realtors, why being a direct lender is so much better than being a broker. So we're educating and we're also letting them know the difference between us and everybody else that walks in that door.
If there isn't everybody that's on this call that doesn't have a paper and pencil and are writing down these unique point of differences, USPs from one of the great LOs that we have here that you can just use, it's ridiculous. So please do write them down. So that's good. So the thing you and I talked about, I think it was on Thursday or Friday, is the value of a presentation, right? So this is, and it's actually an important part for you. So talk about you and your listing presentation. Realtor has one, but a lender has a presentation. Talk about how important it is to you and what you think it is to every lender out there.
So that's the difference, right? So most lenders walk in and they say, I've got a pad of paper. That's what they bring, or maybe they'll bring in a flyer, very one-dimensional. I've done my homework before I walk in that office. So I will tell every loan officer the best way you can get to know your realtors that you're going to go meet is, one, your title rep. If you don't have a BFF that's a title rep, you're a fool. They know every single realtor that's in town. They know who they are, how they act, what kind of business that they do, and if there's somebody that you should be doing business with. So I rely heavily. I've got 4 BFFs that are my title people that I rely on very heavily for just characteristics of people. I think that their Facebook page says volumes, right? To go stalk their Facebook page, learn about what they are. And if they've got a website, they will tell you flat out who they are, what kind of business that they do on their page. And so I will start to customize my package. So I've got kind of I go in with my bio. I go in with customer responses. So people have left me, nice nuggets of little, my words. Well,
just testimonials or best of or whatever it is. Right?
I've gone to other realtors and my title people and said, send me something so that these people know who I am when I walk out of there. So I've got nice words from other realtors, from other title partners, kind of going through there. I also have got, it's kind of plug and play stuff. It'll talk about the culture. It talks about what I do with my agent as an investor in their business. I do happy hours with my agents. I bring a photographer in to do new headshots so we're not using old 1984 glamour shots. We did an event one time, one of my customers owns a Botox shop, and we did We take care of all the wrinkles, right? And so we took them to her shop, and they gave out, B12 shots and told all about Botox. And it's just a way for us to network and get together. And one of my agents, I remember she said, why do I care about meeting other agents? And then she got to know some of these agents, and she goes, my gosh, sitting on the other side of a transaction. And now it's just phone calls, right? But knowing who the other agent is, like, hey, I met you at one of Katie's events. I'm one of her agents. It's amazing how much deals get done, right? So I've got the regular stuff that I put into every presentation when I go, but then I've done some research on that agent. So I will normally get a picture of their team. So if they've got a team photo, I put that on along with it. I will kind of look and see what kind of business it is that they're doing, so I can do a few pages and nuggets that are specific to them, their business, and then the rest of it really is me driving the conversation of, hey, do you know that we have renovation? They may never do a renovation loan with us, but the fact that we can knowledgeably talk about it and show it as an option is gigantic. Again, like one of our value adds that people, I don't think that they realize what a huge deal it is. The fact that we are a direct lender and that we can do repair escrows after closing, that saves deals, right? So it's something that most agents have never heard of. They don't even know that it exists, what we can do. And so it really just sets us aside. I could walk in with a one-dimensional paper and say, here's a flyer, here's a cookie, and it's nothing, right? But we've made it very specific to them, their business. And when I do anything, Ron, I very much like you, it's all about gratitude and it's all about them, right? It has nothing to do with me relating these transactions. Everything that book is about how I can help them grow their business and for them to be more successful.
So if anybody had interest to kind of see the layout or how you put together your presentation, or would you be willing to share some of those pieces?
Absolutely.
Look at that. If you don't listen to this one again, or take down the nuggets, or listen to what she's willing to share, this is a reinvention of how you can actually, go out there and do a consultation differently, add your unique point of difference. And here's another thing that you and I talked about last week, which is, do you look at this market, right, half cup full or half cup empty? Talk about how you see going forward over the next 12 months, right? How do you see this market?
Oh, for me, it's an opportunity. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer, that we're at over there, but you can't let the day-to-day let it down over there. So I'm looking at this as, so some of my realtors have either, their production's way down, or maybe they're saying, I'm going to take a little break from this. So this gives me an opportunity to go make new friends. So I'm going to make new friends, new realtors, bring new business in, call my realtor or my title BFS and say, who do you know that I should know? Who can you make an introduction to?
Yep.
I do a lot of business with my title companies. They're always more than welcome and willing to say, let's do a lunch, let's bring you in, let me make an introduction. It's phenomenal.
Okay, so with that, the company, Ron, Doug, Craig, they're launching what's called the Path, right? Which is not anything that is incredibly complicated, but it just says, use data, go after the right people, go after the right contacts, look at who you're doing business with, and are you getting a large enough percentage of that business, or is there something you need to do to get more business from the people that already love you? So talk about some of the basics of the Path, and then their philosophy about +1, which is doing a little bit of one more thing that gets you to a really good place. So this is not something that you need to change everything immediately. So talk about the Path and talk about the +1 type philosophy.
So I think I'm probably make Craig smile when I say this. So I am one that goes right to the top to get stuff done. I don't have time to mess around in the middle, right? So I go right up to the top. One of the things I think that I find amazing is that with your data that you get, right? So it shows us all the realtors on there. Do you know that most loan officers that are going to look at that list, they're going to start at the bottom and they're going to find someone, I'll tell you where Katie Lawrence goes. I go to the top of that list. You know why? Because almost every other person's intimidated. They're afraid to call that realtor. And for me, it's about making friendships, right? So one of our top realtors in town, she's having an open house on Wednesday. She's trying to drive attendance to this open house. And she's texting me at 7:30 this morning saying, I was thinking about bringing a portable fire pit and making s'mores. You think that's going to bring anybody over? I don't think it's going to bring anybody over, but she called me to ask my opinion on how I thought that was going to work out, right? So it's that little stuff. And my one extra thing is, Renee, what can I do to help you? What would you like me to do? What can I help you to drive more business? Would you advertise it on your Facebook? Absolutely, done. So it's going the extra mile. So you're saying one extra thing, and I agree with you. And I will tell you that I have driven my business around making things memorable. Every transaction's memorable. It's either a good memory or a bad memory, right? So I try to go the extra mile. And one of my favorite passages in one of my books that I put my business off of is, it talks about how people have gotten used to cold food, dirty bathrooms, and poor service, right? So I always keep that top of mind. How hard is it to go a little bit extra, to do one thing a little bit better, to do one thing a little bit nicer for the next person, to one little thing? And it doesn't take very much capacity on our side to up our game just a little bit, because the average guy's doing nothing. They're walking in.
Let me share this with everybody. Because you are so confident in your ability to consult, in your ability to be able to connect, that's the big reason why you can get to that top group. You've got to be confident. You've got to be prepared. And as you do everything you've done, practice over those years, right? The consistency of practice, is the reason where you are not afraid to go into any situation, I wouldn't imagine, right?
I always take every phone call with the assumption that I'm getting that deal. I walk into every office with the assumption that that's my new BFF, and then we're going to start doing business together. I just assume that that's how that's going to be, and usually it is. And I think I shared with you guys before that I interviewed loan officers forever. I used to manage a large 4 offices for a big bank, and every time I would interview people, I'd say, so we're going to do purchase business and meet your realtors, and you got to go meet realtors, and they'd say, I hate realtors. And I'm like, you're doing it wrong then, because most of the realtors, I walk in and I choose realtors that I have something in common with, that I genuinely like. If it's somebody that I don't like and I don't want to do business with them, and I think that they've got poor integrity, I don't go meet that realtor. But the rest of them, I walk in and I just assume that we're going to be good friends and do good business.
That's good. Hey, I see that the Q&A is blowing up here, Craig. So why don't we, before I go into the next little section, why don't you read some of them, because they're just blowing up here. I see the big number.
Yeah, Tracy Causey says, I love, in all caps, the way you do business. Very good info. Terrence says, definitely writing down these great pluses of our company. Steve Domenico, I'm guessing on an inside joke, says, I heard that, Katie. So I'm not sure what you referenced, that you might have a problem file coming up. Lisa Staten says, what is the name of Katie's favorite book?
Oh, Raving Fans. It's a quick read, and honestly, this is a gift that I give to my realtors. A lot of times after I'll do a meeting with them, I think I get it on Amazon for $3 or $4, and I will send this along with a handwritten note over to my realtor and say, this is how I based my book. A lot of similarities. I think you you learn an awful lot out of it. I think it's fantastic.
Yep. Let's see. Steve follows up and says, skips over the middle, me, and goes right to the top. Got that. Got it now. Lisa also asked, did Katie say she is doing these for the listing agents as well as the buyer's agents? I think that was when you were talking about doing some of the events and stuff like that.
I missed what I was doing. What for the agents?
If you're doing these, if you're doing these, yeah.
So normally what I'll do for the other agent over there is I add them to my database so that we're marketing out to them as well. And then normally what I will do is that agent, if we've had a good transaction and it's a good mix, I'll invite them to my next event. So next happy hour, next class that we do within in the office. So we're trying to build a relationship with them.
Yeah, she follows up by the presentations that you're doing. Are you doing those in listing agents as well? Yeah.
Well, it could be down the road. It just depends on whether or not that they fit in with my business, my market, where we're at. You just don't want to go after. Absolutely.
So let me. I got a couple more. Oh, go ahead. You got another one? Go ahead.
Yeah, Brian asked, did you tell the realtor that the s'mores were a bad idea?
That is what?
That the s'mores, the bonfire and the s'mores, was it a bad idea? Did you actually tell them it was a bad idea?
I mean, it's July and it's really hot out, so noon doing s'mores. I don't know if that's such a great thing. I'm thinking, sticky and whatever. But no, I mean, whatever we can do to help them.
It sounds like you're following the path already. So, Garb, I know you've been tasked with putting the path together. You may want to get with Katie and steal some of her stuff she's been doing already for years. But anyway, it's just a thought. Go ahead, Garb.
No, I'm all over that. But to your point, there's a segue, which is, the greatest gift is, and you mentioned it, is leadership, right? So I'm moving over to a question is you are a great mentor, and I know that you have actually expanded and been a great mentor to a whole bunch of people, out there who are just grateful to you. Talk a little bit about the importance of your mentoring agents. You're actually mentoring, loan officers. You're a product of the product. You really are, to Craig's point. Talk a little bit about, for the leaders that are out there on this phone call, how important is it to model, to share, a leader needing to actually know it before they can share it? So talk a little bit about that responsibility as a leader.
Sure. I mean, I think, again, it goes back to the consistency, right? So every day, I get up every day, I'm dressed for work every day, even if it's a day that I'm working at home. I go through the motions every single day because I know that if I follow my path and I do things consistently, that's what works for me. For leaders in our group, knowing some of the tools, right, that will make things better and faster and easier for our teams. I've been working a lot with my underwriting team. I'm sure Steve's going to chime back in again. The day one documentation, learning passing this on to your loan officers, making sure that your team actually knows why working for this company is such a huge advantage, right? Just like I talked about, like the appraisal management, the live funding, being a direct lender, these are things that are so huge to make sure that the people that work for you actually understand the value of these, so they can go and pass that along. It's a huge value add. So I think keeping up, there's an awful lot. We get a lot of opportunity and different things, and not everything's going to work. I know that with my marketing person, at one point they were like, we've got this and this and this and this and this. There's so much that if I spent all my time trying to learn all the bells and whistles, right, there wouldn't be time to go out and get loans. But it's picking a couple that are going to enhance your business, make your brand and your model better, and then teaching the rest of the group. Any shortcut that we can find, anything that we can make to make our borrowers' experience that much better, that's the path that we need to go. Right now, right, we're in these offices and everybody's calling. So, a few weeks back, we did our Momentum Monday with my friend Dan. And Dan said to me last week, he said, Katie, do you know, the loan officers are coming out of the woodwork. He said, I've gotten so many calls from my best friends that I didn't even remember who they were. They can't wait to call me and take me golfing and buy stuff. And he said, it's noise to me, right? He said, you call me every week. We've got a very strong friendship besides our working friendship. That's the kind of stuff of, that's what's going to get us through these times right there. Teaching our people to have those relationships.
No, I agree with you. So I'm going to kind of end with this one, which is the thing that I am most proud of, right, in your transformation. You are a hint of a control freak, right?
Yeah.
A hint. Not big, but just a hint, right? So what would you say? What have you learned, in the relationship between you and I about how, on a move forward basis, right, you are doing differently, which is going to impact how you work front end, back end, to really empower the way that you are going to do business going forward?
So I think that the biggest impact for our time together is that I just kind of keep my head down and stay in my lane and do my thing. And I think that, you brought this to my attention with a great big mirror over there, that it comes across as unfriendly or unapproachable, rather than I'm just trying to get it done and get home to my kids and be the mom I want to be at home. So I am mindfully making sure that people know who I am outside of my business. Business relationship, everybody knows me, fun and whatever. Here, it's just it's intense, right? Because we're trying to get so much done in such a short amount of time over there. So it's making sure that we're vulnerable and open and make sure everybody knows who we really are.
So here's what I would tell you. When you sit back and you get a copy of this,
Yeah.
100%, and Craig would agree, you're going to be really proud of yourself, because this is an example of the best of Katie. Honest, sharing, caring, phenomenal business person, but you've been incredibly fun on this call, and I'm grateful to get to watch you, be you. So anyway, it's been really fun. Craig, what do you got? Because this is as good as I hope that it would be. And thank you for being the you that is just phenomenal. Craig.
Yeah, indeed. I've known Katie an awfully long time, since I've been here, and never seen her better. So great job. Thank you so much, Katie, for sharing. But before we finish, you and I talked a little bit earlier today, and you told a story. And I think if you leave anybody, the 85, 90 people that are on this call, with this thought, that can make a difference. We got all the pluses of the company and everything else, but share the conversation that your agent had about a previous loan officer that was working for you.
So I have this gentleman that worked in the office, very nice guy, kind of quiet and did his own thing. And there was an agent, a top agent in my town. He's a top listing agent. He said, "What's that guy?" He goes, "You got a guy that works in your office." He goes, I can never remember his name. I can only remember that there's a guy in your office that I can't remember, right? And I always remember that. And I went back to this gentleman. I said, "You got to do something. You got to be that memorable guy." I've got a big personality. I walk in, I tell a funny story, I tell whatever, they know that I've been with. But this poor guy walks in and he's just, he's nervous and he doesn't have quite the confidence. And so it was coming up with some kind of a shtick, right? I'm like, bow tie guy or hat guy, or do something so that you're remembering, that they will remember you when you walk out the door, because they see a lot of people, right? So you gotta do something to make sure that you are memorable in these agents' eyes. So when you walk out the door, it's not out of sight, out of mind. So just think about that. Was your presence and your presentation, was it memorable, so that they remember you when you walk out the door?
Great one. It's a great one.
Yeah, well, they're these realtor front doors, and we just said it a second ago. It's a revolving door right now. There's loan officers, all of them coming in, and you got to separate yourself from everybody else. And if you were the guy that was there during the refi boom, that's certainly a leg up. But make yourself memorable, to your point. So. All right, we are at the bottom of the hour again. Katie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's see, one last question. Robin wants to know, what is Katie's memorable item?
Oh, sure. So I have cookies. They're Katie cookies that I give out at my closings. There's a closed one. Just try to do fun stuff. Anything I can do to drop off fun stuff. I try to do some sort of a monthly pop by, a couple bucks just to drop something fun by, keep on their desk, just something so that they remember when we walk away. We did one a couple of years ago. It was a sand bucket that I bought from Target, and I got white sand to put in there with like drink umbrellas and a shovel and a business card, and said, "We dig your referrals." And for 2 years, I walked into people's offices and there's this fun little sand bucket that says, "We dig your referrals," with my business card right in the middle of it. So it doesn't have to be expensive stuff. It's just a little something for you'll leave behind and they remember.
Everybody
should watch make a difference.
Time. Everybody should watch this one a second time with a notepad. I mean, this one was just filled with incredible nuggets. Just incredible. Just great.
Mark?
I watched the whole thing, and I want to add that I completely agree. There is 2 pieces, though, that Katie will not tell you that make it all happen. She's authentic and she truly cares. And she's not going to tell you that, but I'll tell you that. You can do all those things that she just talked about. If that part's missing and it's not really a truly deep relationship, that other stuff is just window dressing. So it starts with that. And Katie, you have that in spades. Thank you for sharing this with everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Indeed. All right, we have Front and Center tomorrow at 2:00 Eastern, so don't miss that. Front and Center with Mark and Dave. We will not be having a readiness briefing this week, as Front and Center will trump that. Let's see, planting seeds now to reap the harvest later, Anonymous shares. Thank you for that. Anonymous also says, thank you, Katie. Lots of great information. And to your point, Garb, man, you got to listen to this a couple times maybe to get it all in. So have a great rest of your Monday, everybody. Keep that momentum going, and we will see you tomorrow at Front and Center. Take care, everybody.